Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pickleball and Politics, where I combine my quest to stay out of the kitchen with my passion for politics. I did play technically today. I went and practiced my serve, and we tried to play a game, but it was so darn windy. It was ridiculous. So it didn't really happen, and we did some drills, and we basically chatted. Hopefully the wind calms down this week, and I'll be able to get out there a little bit more. So my fabulous daughter said to me earlier today that she loved my Trump rally video, but I didn't mention Trump in anything he talked about. So she wanted me to come on real quick and tell you what the former president had to say and to share it with all of you. So first of all, if you haven't been to a Trump rally, let me tell you, they're fabulous. I told you that. But the president himself looks fantastic. He looks great. He looks energized. He looks rested. He looks ready to take on the world. He's engaging. He can talk off script. He interacts with the audience. He took a number of questions during the rally, and he was on his game. Boom, 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 boom. He was on his game. He was great. He talked about France and how France is able to run their elections on one day with paper ballots, and that they know who wins at the end of the night, and how we have to return to paper ballots and one day voting for the whole country. No more write-ins. Too much manipulation. He said we had over 40 days that people could vote last year during the election cycle, and that's just too long with too many different hands that come in contact with it, and that if France can do it, we can do it. And I agree with him. It would be great if we had one day. I've always thought it should be a Sunday. I know that will interfere with a lot of people's day of worship. Maybe Saturday then. Everybody... or even Monday, if you want to make it a national holiday, you go vote that day. I think it would be great if everybody voted on one day. And it used to be that the only people who weren't allowed, who couldn't go to the ballot box that day, had to have like a doctor's note. Maybe we need to bring that back. I know people will say the doctors are busy, but everybody's busy. So he talked about France. He took questions from the audience. One of his most interesting responses was about keeping biological males out of women's sports. He's all for that. There's no idea why anybody thinks that biological males should be competing against women. And I agree with that. I do. So he talked about that. He talked about ending the NAFTA trade deal, said it was the worst ever. He talked a lot about electric cars. He said, if you want an electric car, everybody should have a choice. You should be able to choose whatever car you want. And I agree with him. But if you want a gas-powered car, you should be able to have your gas-powered car. That not everybody wants to sit there for an hour and get a charge on the highway. That not everybody wants to worry about when they have to fill up next. And then he did talk about the brownouts and the blackouts that they have in California. And they are one of the first states that want to turn cars over to all electric, and they can't even keep their power going now. What's it going to be like then? We're not even going to be able to get anywhere. But is that what they want? That we can't get anywhere? So he did talk about electric cars, and he said, if you want an electric car, you should be able to get an electric car, but we should also be able to have gas-powered cars. And I totally agree with him. It's maybe not a bad idea to have a hybrid where you get much more mileage and you have the backup battery and stuff like that. There's a lot of things they can do. I know they're working on hydrogen engines and stuff like that, but he did talk about how much pollution is caused by manufacturing these batteries and what we do with them afterwards. That was very good. He talked about a lot about New Hampshire and Maine, Massachusetts, and how he extended the lobster fishing mile radiuses, and that it's really benefited because before the Canadians were coming down and taking our lobsters, I guess. I don't know too much about that, but he brought it up. He talked about electric cars. He talked about rigged elections same day. He also talked about how the border just has to be closed. Oh, and before I leave the electric cars, he says he's not taking away your gas stoves. Never, ever, ever. I don't cook. I try to stay out of the kitchen, as you know. So I don't care if you use gas or electric, okay? mine looks perfectly brand new. He talked about the border had to be closed. He talked about the flood of fentanyl coming over the border with the open borders. And I had to think about those two women that I met in line who lost their children to the fentanyl crisis. He also talked about the amount of sexual and human trafficking and the amount of rape and crime and coyotes that's going on down at the border and how this has to be closed. It's not fair to anyone that thousands and thousands and millions of people now have come across the border and we have no idea who they are. And he talked about how they're letting so many men and women out of mental asylums in so many countries and sending them here, and we don't know what we're getting. He talked about the drug problem in New Hampshire, and he talked about that we're a nation in decline. He also wanted the death penalty for drug kingpins. I'm not a huge death penalty person. I definitely understand it for the most heinous of crimes. Like I talked about the Boston Marathon bombing. I have no problem with that. And he talked about, the war on drugs, which is huge. He talked about our finances, about getting people back to work, about making China pay for things. And according to the former president, he'll have all this done in a year and everything will be back to the way it was in 2017 to 2020. He talked about the vaccine mandates and how he never wanted vaccine mandates. And then I thought about how this week I read that Dr. Fauci said he wished he never suggested mandates either. Whatever. It's a little too late for that. We've already gone down that road. And Tony Fauci said that Americans are so independent. By telling them they had to do something, you naturally have a percentage of the population that's going to say, hell no, you're not going to tell me what to do. And that he thought if he never mandated them or suggested they were mandated, that more people would have got vaccinated. I don't know about that, but it's interesting. He's a little backpedaling right now. So that was basically what happened at the Trump rally. It was absolutely fabulous. I was probably 12, 15 feet from him. Someone asked me what song they played at the end, and I said I have absolutely no idea, because between the phone and being excited to be so close to the president, I had no idea. It was a surreal experience. It was almost dreamlike. And I was so glad I got to see the president, and I hope to see him again real soon. So there is no dink of the day, because I'm telling you, it was a great rally. And I'm on for a second podcast talking about it at the request of my daughter, because she wanted to hear what the president said. And it was a great day. The president has amazing charisma, amazing energy. There is just an aura around him. And when you're in his presence, you're just like, wow, it's Donald Trump, the president of the United States. It was a great day. I loved it. Like I told you before, if you can get yourself to a Trump rally, whether you love him or hate him, I guarantee you're going to have the best time. All right. You can reach me on Getter at Pickleball and Politics, on Instagram at Pickleball and Politics. You can reach me on Twitter at Pickle and Paul. You can leave me a message here on my YouTube channel if that's where you are, Pickleball and Politics. Or you can go to my website, pickleballandpolitics.com, and you can reach me there. Okay. I've got the Kentucky Derby coming up this week, and I've got something special for you on Friday afternoon cocktails. It's going to be great. I'll see you then. Thanks for joining me in Pickleball and Politics.